Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's amazing special session in the geography classroom. Now, the reason today is so special is because we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Now, Earth Day has been celebrated on the 22nd of April every single year since 1970. So today we have 50 years of people celebrating Earth Day. Now, Earth Day was originally started in America, and it was a group of people that took to the streets and they went on a protest, and they were protesting about the impact that human beings were having on the natural environment. Now, since that first protest 50 years ago, there are now over 1 billion people involved in Earth Day. And today we are going to be joining those billion people, and we're going to be looking at what it is that we can do in the geography classroom to help protect our environment. Now, the theme for this year's Earth Day is climate change. Now, we've actually done quite a bit of work already on climate. So I want you to have a think, what are the two factors that we talk about every time I mention the climate? Okay, have a think. I can hear your brains working. Right, I'm hoping that everybody is saying temperature, and everybody is saying rainfall, because they are the two factors that make up our climate. Now, there are things that we as human beings are doing which are not good for our planet and not good for our climate. And what we're going to do in today's session is we're going to talk about how our climate is changing, what it is that human beings are doing to cause those changes, and then what impacts that is having on certain parts of the world and certain species and certain environments. Now, I am super excited because today's session, we are going to focus a lot of our attention on one of the most incredible places in the world that is sadly being really negatively affected by climate change and some of the causes of climate change. But the place we're going to have a look at is Borneo. Hi. So, I'm going to tell you what it is that you need for today's session so that you have everything before we get started. Right, first things first, you will need a blank piece of paper. You will need a normal pencil so that you can do your drawings. You are going to need some colour pencils. You are going to need a ruler. And you are going to need something round that you can draw around. So, I have got my candle here. So, draw around the top end. So go and collect all the things that you need. So paper, normal pencil, colour pencils, ruler, and something round to draw around. A plate is probably too big, so try and find something a little bit smaller. Okay, so we're going to do our quiz like we do every single session. So I want you to take your piece of paper and to write the numbers 1 to 8 on it. And then I want you to have a really, really good think about what we did in week 1, what we did when we looked at Antarctica, then when we looked at Gari, and then last week what we looked at in Botswana. Now, the Botswana questions are tricky, so take a minute, have a look at the sheet that you made last week and make sure that you've got it all fresh in your memory. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a really good think about what we did last week, because these questions are the hardest I have ever asked you. So, question number 1. What continent is Botswana found on? Question number 1, what continent is Botswana found on? Okay, question number 2. What's the name of the ecosystem that we studied in Botswana? So it had a special name, it was called the something, but what was the name of the ecosystem in Botswana? Okay, question number 3. Now, this is officially the hardest question that I've asked you since we were in the geography classroom. So if you find this difficult, that is okay. Now, last week we looked at 4 different species. We looked at grass, we looked at vultures, we looked at lions, and we looked at zebras. What I want you to do is to put those in the correct order, starting with the one at the bottom of the food chain that passes energy into the next one, that passes energy into the next one, that passes energy into the next one. So here's the list: vulture, grass, lion, zebra. Which of these went first and passed energy on? And then what came next and passed energy on? And what came after that and passed energy on? That's a tough question. Okay. Question number 4. Which of those, lion, grass, vulture, or zebra is able to produce their own energy from sunlight and from rainfall? Which of those four can produce their own energy? Okay, question number 5. This is also really hard, so think carefully. We started our journey in Antarctica and then we moved up towards the equator, that line that separates the top and the bottom half of the Earth. What has happened to the temperature? Has the temperature increased as we move towards the equator, as in got hotter, or has the temperature decreased, as in got colder? So, as you moved closer to the equator, what happens to the temperature? Does it increase or does it decrease? Does it get hotter or does it get colder? Okay, question number 6. What are the 2 deadly species on Gari called? So we looked at one species that lived in the sea, one species that lived on the land. What were those 2 species called? Okay, and then question number 7. What is the name of this continent? And question number 8. What was the name of this line that sits round Antarctica? It was called the something something. What was the name of that line? Okay, I'm going to put the questions up on the screen just for a second in case you need them. And then those ones too. Pause it if you need to, take your time, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, so well done. Let's go through the answers. So answer number 1, what country is Botswana found in? It is found, sorry, I said that wrong. What continent is Botswana found in? That is in Africa. Question number 2, what ecosystem did we study? That is called the savanna. Then the hardest question that we've had in the geography classroom, put them in the correct order to show the way that the energy moves. So we have energy goes from the grass into the zebra. It goes from the zebra into the lion, and it goes from the lion into the vulture. Then I asked you which of those could make their own food using sunlight and rainfall. That is in fact grass. What happens to the temperature as we move away from Antarctica towards the equator? Where it increases, it gets hotter. What were the names of the 2 animals that we studied that were on Gari in Australia? That was the bull shark and the king brown snake. And then question 7 was what was the name of this continent? So everyone, that was Asia. And then the last one, a tricky one, what was the name of this line that fits around Antarctica and signifies that we are at the very, very, very southernmost or bottom part of the Earth? That is the Antarctic Circle. Right, give yourself a mark. Now, anyone who gets 8 out of 8 today, you have nailed it. I am not expecting that today because that quiz, as I say, is the hardest one that we've done by far. So well done. Okay. So now we've done that, let's get cracking with our Earth Day session. So as I said to you, today is all about climate change, and we need to have a look today at what it is that climate change is doing to our Earth or to our atmosphere. Okay, so welcome back to our Earth Day session. Let's get this going now. Now, what you are going to need is your big piece of paper. And what we're going to do first is we are going to have a look at what it is that human beings are doing that is causing changes in our climate, and then what those changes are going to be. So the first thing that I need you to do is to take your piece of paper and fold it in half, because we've got a sort of session of 2 parts today. So fold your piece of paper in half, and it should look like that. And what I want you to do is at the top of the page on the left-hand side, I would like you to write however you want to. So you can do beautiful bubble writing. It's completely up to you. I want you to write Earth Day 2020. Okay, I'm going to do mine now as well. Ladies and gentlemen, there's mine, Earth Day 2020, and you can see that I've chosen to use the colours that I think represent the Earth in my title. Now, the next thing that I would like you to do is to take your round receptacle, if it's a cup or if it's a plate, whatever it is, and I would like you to put it down on your page, and I would like you to draw around it. So you've now got a picture or a circle on your page that is about to become a picture of the Earth. Now that's the next thing that I would like you to do. So what I would like you to do is to draw as accurately as you can a picture of the Earth. So you might want to Google it, or you might want to use some of the atlases that you've got at home, but what would that look like to you? So what we should have now is our turtle at the top and then the Earth in the middle here. Now, I need you to just listen up for a second, and then I'm going to ask you to do the next thing. Now, I know that some of you will have experienced this and some of you won't, so just stay with me for a second. If you've ever been inside a greenhouse in your garden or your grandparents' garden, or if you've been to Kew Gardens or any of the big kind of places that sell plants, you will know what I'm talking about. But greenhouses, they're designed to trap heat from the sun and to make the temperature inside them warmer. Now, our Earth is amazing because we have actually got our own greenhouse. We have a greenhouse that sits around the Earth and you can't see it, but it's called the atmosphere. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to draw a greenhouse around our planet Earth. So what I would like you to do is to take your ruler. I'm going to draw it first, and then I'll show you what I would like it to look like. So what I've done, I've drawn my greenhouse around the Earth. Now, as I say, this has got a special name, and it's actually called our atmosphere. So I'm going to write on the top of my greenhouse, atmosphere, and then greenhouse down the side. So it's going to look a little bit like that. Now, what normally happens is that we have the sun in the sky, and I'm going to add a sun to my drawing, and rays of sunlight come out of the sun and they enter the greenhouse. So these rays of sunlight, they come all the way down and they enter the greenhouse. So I'm going to draw that on now. Now that is what keeps our temperature perfect for human life on this planet and for animal life on this planet. So we get energy that comes down from the sun, it enters our atmosphere, and some of it gets stuck there, and that's what keeps our temperature perfect. Now, some of that sunlight doesn't get stuck there. It actually rebounds back out into space, like that. Now, that is really important because it keeps the global temperature just as we want it. But human beings, we're doing something that messes with this. So what I want you to do now, please, is to take a red pencil, and I would like you to add 20 red dots in our greenhouse sitting around the Earth. So I want 20 red dots, okay? So you should now have a drawing that looks like that. You've got the sun in the top corner, we've got the sun's rays coming into our atmosphere, and then we've got 20 red dots. Now these red dots are actually a symbol for something called carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is a gas, okay? Which is why it's tricky, because you can't actually see it. Carbon dioxide is invisible. But there is carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. And before human beings got involved, there was the right amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere to keep human beings and animals and all of these different things happy and healthy. Now, unfortunately, what human beings have been doing is we are adding more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. Now, lots of you will have been in a car. You'll have been to a petrol station. Now, when we put petrol in our car, that petrol is actually a type of oil. Now, when you burn that, which is what the engine in the car does, it releases more carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide goes into our atmosphere. So we're going to draw this now onto our Earth. We're going to draw a picture of a car, and we're going to draw the exhaust pipe of a car, and then we're going to add some more carbon. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So here's my car. It's a bit of a bad car again, but you can see that it's got the exhaust pipe at the back where all of that smoke comes out. Now I'm going to add another 20 dots into the atmosphere, because every time we drive, every time that we fill our car up with petrol and we use it to go somewhere, what we do is we burn the oil that's inside it in the engine, and we release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So look how much there is now. Now this carbon dioxide acts like a blanket, and it stops some of this sunlight escaping back out of our atmosphere, and it makes it warmer. So we're going to take our red pencil, and down the side of our greenhouse, we're going to draw a big red arrow, and we're going to write the word temperature above it, because that's going to symbolise to us that the global temperature is increasing. Now, normally what happens is that trees do this incredible thing. Trees and grass and plants, they're producers, like we talked about last week. They take in sunlight and rainfall to make their own energy. But there's something else that trees take in as well, and that's carbon dioxide. So normally what would happen is that human beings would drive their cars, we will put some carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, but then we've got our friends, the trees, who suck some of that carbon dioxide back out again. But sadly, human beings are doing something that's stopping that from working. What we're doing in certain parts of the world is cutting down trees, cutting grass, removing forest. So they're not taking in that carbon dioxide anymore. So what we're going to do in our world now, we are going to draw some trees, and then we're going to put a big red cross through them to show that they are being cut down. Okay, so you can see my trees. And now, sadly, I'm going to put a big red cross through them. Because what we're doing as humans, we cut them down. And we don't do it because we hate trees. We do it because people need places to live, because we want to use that land to grow crops, so we can put cows there, because we need to eat. But what is happening is that we're removing those trees. And as a result of that, they're not able to suck in the carbon dioxide anymore, which leaves more of it in our atmosphere, making the temperature even hotter. Now, I feel quite sad actually, because I feel like all I'm about to tell you is more bad news, but there is a happy ending at the end of this, and that's the fact that we can do something about this. Now, once we cut down trees, then we also take away places for animals to live. Now, one of the most affected places by this deforestation, this taking away of trees, is in a place called Borneo, which is in Asia. Now, Borneo is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it's an island, and I'm going to show you on the map in a second. And it's quite funny because it's an island, but it's owned by 3 different countries. So I want you to have a look at the map, and then I'm going to ask you to try and identify which 3 countries it is that Borneo sits in. Okay, so what you should have identified, hopefully, is that Borneo is actually, the 3 countries that Borneo sits in are Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. Now, for the rest of this session, we are going to start to look at Borneo in a lot more detail. Now, the reason that I'm so excited about this is actually I'm going to hand this over to you for the rest of the session, because normally we study animals that I've chosen. But today what I want us to do is to study animals that live in the rainforest in Borneo, so that you can find your favourite animal, and then hopefully you can figure out a way that you can help to protect that animal, to make sure that it has a home and that that's safe from deforestation, and that you're doing your bit towards helping climate change. Now, you might have noticed today, I'm wearing a t-shirt with my favourite animal on it. Now, this is the orangutan. Now, the orangutan is the most amazing monkey, and I'm going to put a picture of one up on the screen for you to have a look at now, because I love them. Now, I think the reason that I love them so much is orangutans are ginger, and as you might have noticed, I am ginger. So when I was little, my mum used to always tell me that I looked like an orangutan. So that's the first reason I love them. The second reason I love them is because orangutans are actually only found in Borneo. You can't find them in any other forest in any other part of the world. The third reason that I love them is because actually the word orangutan means person of the forest. And if you watch videos of orangutans, which I have put into the playlist for today, you can see that they look like little people with pot bellies, and they walk around and they're really, really funny animals. The fourth reason is because I like the name of their faces. So male orangutans, they have these big pouches that hang on their face, and those are called flanges, and that really makes me laugh. And the last reason that I love them is because they have 96% the same DNA as human beings. So they are so like us, it is untrue. So what I would like you to do today is this. I want you to go and have a look at the next few animals that I'm going to put on the screen. And I want you to pick your favourite. And you are going to create a drawing on the second half of your page of your favourite animal that lives in Borneo. And I'd love it if it was also in the rainforest so that you can see the habitat that it lives in. But I want you to find out 3 reasons why that animal is amazing and therefore why it should be protected. Now, I'm going to show you the animals now, but we're going to... Okay, so those are the amazing animals that you can choose from: the proboscis monkey, the pygmy elephant, the rhino, the sun bear. There's all sorts of different things. But that's what I'd like you to do today, is to go and find out about your favourite animal in Borneo so that you can start to think about what you can do to help save it. Now, at the end of this session, what I need you all to do is to send me a photograph of your work. Now, the reason I want you to send them to me is because I am going to make a massive Earth Day collage of all our pictures to commemorate the fact that we were here on Earth Day in 2020. And the second reason that I would like for you to send me a picture is because I am going to adopt one of you an animal. So the Worldwide Fund for Nature, which is an amazing charity, they will let me adopt an animal on your behalf. So the person who sends me the best piece of research or the most interesting facts, and I'm not going to choose this again, I'm going to get a judge to choose it because I love you all. But you need to send them to me so I can A, create the collage, but B, adopt an animal, which will help to keep that rainforest protected in future, which will help us to remove more carbon dioxide for the atmosphere, which will help reduce the effects of climate change. Now, send the pictures in via Facebook, or if you want to, you can email them to me, and it's krista@mytimecharity.co.uk. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Have fun!